Welcome to... Welcome back. My headphones suddenly kicked out, and when you're used to hearing your voice in your ears, when you don't, it's kind of throws you off. Welcome to Your Mac Life for Wednesday, February the 20th, show number 1205. I am Shawn King, sitting here now with my beautiful wife, Melissa.
Aw, well done, Shawn. Hi, everyone.
Melissa is my wife, and I love her very, very much.
And now I drink wine at 5 o'clock.
I never think about other women ever at all. It's only ever
my
Melissa.
God, that is so not true.
Melissa, Melissa, Melissa. I love Melissa.
Okay, true. Positive reinforcement for the doofus.
I'm Shawn King.
Melissa King.
Wait, you actually got your very first official, well, your second official Melissa King document today.
I did.
You got your driver's
I
license.
got my driver's license. It's all very frightening as far as I'm concerned.
Were you this frightened 28 years ago when you first did this?
No.
So why is it more frightening now?
Because I didn't care about my surname. And then when I was married, it was wonderful and didn't bother me. And now I've been that for a very, very long time. And my children are that, which is my biggest
mine too.
thing with it.
But I was very happy to see it.
Oh, good. Yeah.
And your passport should be here in a few days.
Yep.
Because in 1 month, 1 month and 1 day, tomorrow, 1 month from tomorrow, how many other ways can I frickin' say that? Melissa and I will be jetting off to Lisbon, Portugal for the Starting Point Photography workshop in Lisbon, Portugal. And myself and others are going to be having a fantastic time for a week in beautiful Portugal. If for no other reason than, for example, here on Friday, it's going to be 34 degrees. In Lisbon on Friday, it's going to be 67. And only going to get better from there. So I'm looking forward to getting out of our winter blahs here in the Vancouver area and going to a nice, lovely, warm-ish climate. On tonight's show, we're going to talk to our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop, as we often do. We're going to talk about the right to repair movement. The folks at iFixit are known to be big proponents of this. And they posted up a video where they asked 4 people with no experience whatsoever to add RAM to a MacBook Pro, I think. Swap out the battery on an iPhone and the screen on an iPhone. Do some fairly technical things. We'll talk to Jim about that, about whether people actually do need embedded in law the right to repair their own devices. We're also going to talk about the Marzipan. No, not the confectionery, but the fact that Apple has said, and supposedly, and somehow Mark Gurman, once again at Bloomberg, everyone has crawled up his butt and is now sniffing his doo-doo because they think that he somehow discovered this. But Apple has made this clear that Marzipan is the direction they're going. What that is they're going to, right now when you write code for iOS, you all have to write separate code for the Macintosh if you want your app to do the same thing. Marzipan will allow you to write the code once, and your app will work on both iOS devices like the iPad and the iPhone and the Macintosh, which is a big thing for developers. So we'll talk to Jim about that and smart homes. There was an article on Macworld written by Jason Snell about how Apple needs to get back into smart homes. And I would argue Apple really isn't into smart homes at all, but they still have an opportunity to get there. And we're also going to talk about how to get better iPhone photos, some more tips and tricks for you guys. This week we had a milestone here in the King-Berryman household. Melissa's bank is the local credit union. And the credit union only just, like within the last year, had the ability for you to take your debit card and use tap, right? It was always you had to stick it in, put your PIN number in. So Melissa's gotten used to tapping, and correct me if I'm wrong, you thought that was magic.
I thought it was too easy.
It was too easy. Well, we have gotten a new credit card because Van City sucks.
Don't say that until you get your drone.
CIBC, I got a credit card, and the CIBC credit card works with Apple Pay. So I set Apple Pay up on her phone and my phone, And I've been encouraging her and trying to get her to use the credit card to buy things, if only because the credit card offers us cashback rewards, whereas the debit card doesn't. So what we do is we buy things on the credit card and immediately pay them off from the debit card. It's an extra step, but you're kind of making money by doing it that way. As long as you don't carry a balance at the end of the month, doing this means that your credit card will pay you money at the end of the year, which I think is a good thing. So it's kind of funny. Melissa is not a technophobe. She's not afraid of technology. You just aren't as into it as us nerds are, and you're more, would you say, cautious about technology in general?
It's just like anyone. It's like anyone that isn't a nerd.
No, there are some
It takes
people
a while. Like, it surprised me today.
That's where I was going.
Paid at it was at when I just got a couple groceries, and I paid with my phone, and the lady, probably a bit older than me, she said, "Oh, you don't want to lose your phone." And I said, "Well, it's for Touch ID." I said, "No one's going to be able to use it." But see, there you go. Yep. There's an example of someone going, "Oh, you don't want to lose your phone because your credit card's on your phone." Like, there's a misunderstanding and lack of education around it.
It's actually worse if you lose your credit card.
It actually is worse if you lose your actual card, because no one checks anymore, no one cares. You go spend it. Yeah.
We went to Costco, bought our groceries on a credit card, spent $700. The Costco credit card is in Melissa's name. The Costco ID card is in Melissa's name, has her picture on it. I hand it to the cashier, and they allowed us to spend $700 on Costco groceries without checking any ID, without even checking the cards.
Nothing.
You flip over the back of the Costco credit card, and there's not a picture of an ogre. It's a picture of Sleeping Beauty over here.
Yeah, there was. I mean, remember when it was?
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was all this checking, and everybody, you were signing it in front of people and all that. Now it's nothing.
There was no. If they looked at the credit card, they would have said Melissa. I don't look like a Melissa. Mm-hmm. Melissa. Her name. I'll never live there. I literally got like almost 200 emails from you people. So I got so many emails from complete strangers, like to people I know. I would have sent a personal thing, but complete strangers, I can set up a little text expander and go, "Yes, I know, I'm an idiot. Thanks for listening to the show.
Oh.
Send."
Oh my God.
Yes, I know I'm an idiot. Thanks for listening to the show. Send.
Cut and paste.
So, yes, you're right. People, and whether that is Apple's fault for not better explaining this, I think they've had some ads that people may or may not have seen. But yeah, there's a lot of education that still has to be done. It was interesting. I read a study that only about 12% of U.S. iPhone users have actually enabled Apple Pay.
Oh.
So it's very, very few people. Much higher.
I feel so cutting edge.
Yeah, much higher outside of the U.S. It's almost 80% of iPhone users outside the U.S. have enabled Apple Pay.
You know, I'm just thinking also, because I said it's too easy, is that, so what happens is now, which I wouldn't do normally, and I have wanted to get into budgeting and just sort of figuring out, okay, you know, where's the lack of money not coming from or going. And what you do is I kept the receipts very close, thinking, well, I got to go. And I just want to, although what happens was you pay and then it says, boop, that's how much you just put on.
Yep.
But I keep the receipts and am actually more aware of how much we're spending, because I've got to come home and then
use the debit card.
Use the debit card. Oh, no, transfer the money from the bank.
So you did it for the first time yourself. It was very funny having to explain it, because you didn't believe me that all you had to do was just tap your phone. You wanted to turn the phone on and get the wallet
Well, I did
up
that today.
But you did
twice.
Did you turn the phone on?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see, now you don't have to do that. That's the part you don't believe.
No, it's not that I don't believe it. I was by myself, you know, without Shawn. I'm thinking, oh my God. You know, I had my bank card as backup. I did. I gave him my bank card. I didn't. No, I turned it on and then I did my whole Touch ID thing.
And then you brought it near the
So therefore,
machine.
what that lady says is true.
No, it's not true.
Why?
if your phone is blank, right, and this is the Apple Pay thing, and I've stolen your phone, and I tap on it, I still have to enter the fingerprint.
Oh, good.
Still
okay.
has to be used that,
Okay.
or my face on my phone, Face ID. So
Yeah.
my phone is off. I've got Face ID on my phone. I tap it. It says Face ID, so I look at the phone, and it goes done, and the transaction is done. So in that regard, it is more secure than your credit card.
Right.
The downside of it, though, is that if you have a place that doesn't accept Apple Pay and you haven't brought your credit card, you can't use your phone as a backup. And that's a big problem that a lot of folks are still going to have.
Well, I'm wondering now, because, I took my bank card and I'm thinking, when will the day come where we're not thinking, well, we better take it back up in case this doesn't work or someone doesn't accept it, because I had my backup with me, which was a bit annoying.
Well, I don't mind having the card in my back pocket as a backup for exactly that reason.
But,
it's not like it's bulky or else like that. It's not, I'm
no.
carrying my wallet anyway. Now, what happens in the inevitable day, perhaps in the next 5-10 years, when all that stuff that's in your wallet is on your phone? Your driver's license, your scene card for the movies, your Starbucks card is on my phone already, your supermarket card, your Kroger's card, your Aldi card, your Super Value card, those kind of things are all on your phone, and you don't have to carry your wallet anymore. And then you lose your phone, which, you just drop it in the mud or someone steals it or whatever. Then you're in deep caca. In my mind, I'm always going to have a physical backup of these things at home, even if everything's on my phone and there's no need for me to carry my wallet around. I'm still going to want to have at least a physical copy of this stuff, driver's license and all the other things at home somewhere in a separate location.
Yes.
I can't see a day where I personally would only have my phone and wouldn't have those physical backup copies.
I agree.
I just don't like that.
But I like the idea of keeping your credit card at home in your filing cabinet or whatever.
Yeah, we've got a big fireproof lockbox where all our passports are and all the important documents.
All important documents are in there in case we have a fire.
My non-existent will is in there.
His non-existent will. His non-existent MSP card.
I don't need a will. My will is this. It's hers. I'm dead. She can have it. Or if she's not home, you can come get it. If you get here before she does, you can have it. Simple as that.
What?
That's my will. Anybody who wants my stuff can have it. What do I care? I'm dead.
I care. Anyway, moving on.
Folks, later on the show in our starting point photography segment, we're going to talk about how to get even better photos off of your iPhone. But after this break, we're going to talk to our good friend Jim Dalrymple about Marzipan, about Right to Repair, about a bunch of other stuff. So stay tuned for that and much, much more coming up. This is your Mac Life. Welcome back to Your Mac Life, folks. Thank you guys very much for joining me here on this Wednesday evening. In our phone, as always, we've got our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com. Jim, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Shawn. How are you?
I'm good. Big news today in the tech world in general, maybe not so much the Macintosh world, was the announcements of Samsung have announced 5 new phones, including a tablet, which they didn't even bother to show off at their demonstration. Was there anything? Did you watch any of this? Do you care about any of this stuff? Any of this?
Now, I obviously I care. I didn't see this because I was out this afternoon, but I do care about it only to see what they have. And we all know that operating systems and hardware and everything else, they always try and one up each other. So it's interesting to see what's there, but typically the quality that comes out of Samsung, it just isn't up to the standard that I think we're used to. Dealing with Apple stuff.
There were 2 things that I saw and heard from this that I thought was kind of interesting. First of all, just the idea of a foldable phone. This has been rumored for a long time, and to me, even the idea of one didn't do anything for me. I knew that it was going to be too thick. I knew that there was going to be issues at the seam where the thing got folded in half. I know there's going to be technical issues from the point of view of software development and that kind of stuff. Do you have any interest personally in even if it was an iPhone, a foldable phone?
I'll tell you, I don't really have that much of an interest. I mean, would it be cool, I guess, to see it, but I don't know. And maybe that's for the kids.
Yeah, it's something I'd go into if I was walking by a store that had them. I'd go in and take a look at them, but I don't see any. As someone in the IRC chat room, Mosquito said, they solved a problem nobody had.
Exactly.
I think it's a great way of putting it. They seem to want to get the tablet in a phone form factor and a tablet form factor. It just seems to be 6 of one, half dozen the other, and it's not going to make a lot of difference. And at $1,984, are you kidding me?
No. I mean, no.
There's no justification for it. Gruber tried to say, well, it's a $2,000 computer. Even thinking of it as a computer, that's too much damn money.
No.
Even if it's a computer that makes phone calls, that's too damn much money. If this was the world's greatest iPhone, I still wouldn't want it at $2,000.
No,
that's just insane.
That's crazy.
The other thing I thought was of great interest, and you can speak to this because you've been in the situation, afterwards there was a demo area where after the presentations, the press is all herded over to this area, and you're allowed to play with the new toys for a limited time. You're allowed to play with them. Samsung did not allow the media to use, play with, see, or touch the new foldable phone. That, to me, is a big red flag.
Well, there's been times with Apple stuff where it's so brand new that you weren't allowed to really do much with them.
But you were at least allowed to hold them, even under supervision.
Yeah, I guess. I'm trying to think back. The fact that they wouldn't let anybody touch them, I think always says a lot, no matter what company it is.
Yep.
But you kind of, at that point, you get the feeling like when they're up on pedestals or something or behind glass, okay, these are perfect, but if you touch them, they're only glued together because that's right. All that they could get. And, so yeah, I'm not sure when did they say they'd be released?
April.
Bullshit.
You believe them?
If they're not even let people touch them now?
Yeah.
No, I thought you were talking like a year out or something.
Nope.
Okay.
So the and I hate saying this. I read this interesting article on CNET. I hate just the words coming out of my mouth feel bad.
Yeah, I gotta go.
Yeah, no kidding. Galaxy S10e versus the iPhone XR. Now, the S10e is the one that's closest in price and spec to the iPhone XR. And CNET had, I posted this up on the Loop for those who are interested in going to the Loop to see this. Both phones are at $750 US, and they have some interesting spec comparisons on the CNET website. My question, though, is, do people who are choosing care about specs? Do you think that this spec sheet is of only interest to nerds and techies, and that the average person going into the local cell phone store isn't going to care about these kind of specs?
Well, I think that most people probably go in knowing what they want, and they know what they want from what they read, and from what they see on YouTube. So, if you can show people this is what you can do with this phone, I think that most people are most likely to just say, yeah, that's the one that I want. But, I don't know if spec sheets really work. I stopped really worrying about specs years ago,
yeah.
even in computers. So, I mean, there are certain things that I think people are looking for, but they don't know why they're looking for it. Like, they'll look at megapixels of a camera and, stuff like that, even though that's not really what does it. So, they'll look, but I don't know that it matters now.
MacMan says, other than storage, the average consumer doesn't give two shits about a phone's spec. And I agree with you. That's the only thing that we care about. We care about the price and how much stuff I can put on it. Yeah.
Storage and camera, I would say, are the two biggest things.
The Technorati seem to be very excited over this idea of power sharing via the phone. That to me seems like one of the nerdiest things you could possibly get excited about when it comes to your phone. That you can merge two phones together, and one of them can very, very slowly suck power out of the other one.
Yeah.
That just
a leech.
You just bought a leech. Congratulations. You just bought an electrical leech. And the thing is, it's going to be incredibly painfully done slowly. Yeah. And someone said, well, it's for charging up your headphones. But so you're saying I'm going to put my phone down and then put my headphones on top of my phone and just sit there and stare at them for 20 minutes an hour? It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's not going to charge your headphones the way that... I mean, I suppose in an emergency you need a little power to your headphones. That's fine. I can't imagine trying... You're not going to be able to charge an iPad from your phone.
No, not at all. Exactly. I mean, these guys seem to think you can jumpstart your car with your phone,
It's been 6 hours. I've moved 1%.
That's right. Exactly. I can listen to one more song. It's just silly.
I mean, yeah. But it is amazing the things that we'll get excited about, isn't it?
The thing that was most interesting, and once this gets in the hands of people and we see the test, the triple rear camera. I think, why does it feel that cameras are going the way of razor blades? That,
I know, right?
At some point, someone's going to go, fuck it, just put 6 lenses on the back of it. It just seems, at some point, there's got to be a law of diminishing returns where 4 cameras, 5 cameras, 6 cameras, it's just going to get ridiculous, hugely expensive, and not take all that great pictures.
So what is the third camera for? 3D or what?
There's a 12 megapixel telephoto camera, a 12 megapixel wide angle camera, and a 16 megapixel ultra wide camera on the back. On the front, there's an 8 megabyte RGB depth camera and a 10 megabyte selfie camera. The damn thing's got 5 cameras on it.
Wow.
Will you kill those wind?
Not even a camera has 5 cameras on it.
Exactly. Will you kill those wind chimes, dude?
Oh, Jesus, it's so windy here, man. It finally stopped raining. Now it's windy.
What does the guy who lives under a bridge need wind chimes for?
It's my alarm system.
Oh, dude. That makes sense, actually. I take it back. You're right. Okay, that makes sense.
So yeah, make fun of the guy under the bridge. All right.
That's right. Mock the homeless.
Mock the homeless, but yeah. Then complain about my wind chime. If you need to complain about something, I'm sure there's lots you can complain about without mocking me because I'm homeless and have wind chimes.
Overall, this announcement is I think, going to get Android fans awfully excited over these new features, new phones. I don't see, and this is my own personal bias, and tell me yours. I don't see anything in these announcements that make me even think about wanting to switch from my iPhone. Do you?
No.
Would there ever be anything that would make you want to switch?
Honestly, it would be Apple more than any other company that would want to make me switch.
Yeah.
You know, if all of a sudden, you know, Tim left and Schiller left and, you know, Craig left and Johnny left and all of these people left. And then the new guy said, okay, we're going to embrace Google and Facebook is going to use all of our data from now on. Then I'd be saying, you know, but where do you go? Because everybody else is doing the same thing. So, but you know, at that point, that would make me sit back and take a second look at everything that I'm doing. But there's nothing out there right now that I've seen that says, oh, damn, I'm really missing out by being an iPhone user.
How much of that do you think is feature lock-in? I know for me, I have no interest in switching to Android phones, but the only real advantage Android users have is that they're able to switch from phone to phone to get better cameras, bigger cameras, more storage, whatever it might be, much more easily than iPhone users. That's the only thing I'm even slightly jealous about, but it's nowhere near enough to make me even think about wanting to switch. I think I'm the same as you. Apple would have to change fundamentally who they are as a company, and then have that affect their products. Because I can handle Apple being a jerk of a company as long as the products still work in a way that I like.
Well, it's not even a matter of their products working. I want superior products, and I believe that we do get superior products made custom. You know, like metals and everything else. I believe that they are doing everything that they can to deliver the absolute best products in the world.
Yeah, I agree.
I really do believe that. Now, if all of a sudden they started coming out with cheap plastics that when you grip them, they, you know, break off and, you know, stuff like that, then, you know, well, this isn't the Apple I remember. Yeah, exactly. So if that's the case, I'm not worried about tie-in. Yeah, you know what? I can move my stuff, and I can change to, you know, a new operating system that's not Android or iOS, and use Spotify instead of Apple Music. So, whatever, you know, I can move all of that if that's the way that the company is going. Then I don't like it. But really, for me, I think it comes down to Apple itself. If they make the choice to move, then I would have to move.
Yeah, I agree. The folks at iFixit posted up a story that I thought was really interesting, if only because of its claims. We are all geniuses. Basically what iFixit is saying is that we can all fix our home electronics, that we should all be not only able from the point of view of choice, but also able from the point of view of the law. Manufacturers should not make, or not allowed to make, products that intentionally prevent us from fixing them. We all have the skill. All we need to do is have the right tools, obviously from iFixit, and the right guides from iFixit. We can all swap out our own iPhone batteries and fix our own iPhone screens and do this. And Apple and Android and Google and other companies should not do things that actively prevent us from fixing our own devices. Do you agree with the iFixit stance on this?
Absolutely not.
Why not?
Because I am a moron and I cannot fix anything. You can ask anybody in my family and they will. what I wanted for Christmas my whole life was a tool belt. I didn't want any tools. I just wanted a tool belt. I just wanted that big belt. Maybe put a claw hammer in there or something. You know, just I would walk around. I would go out in public with that tool belt on. That's all I wanted. And I wasn't even allowed to have a tool belt because then I might start buying tools to put in.
To put in, exactly. Yeah.
I am the most useless person when it comes to trying to fix something. I can't do it. I cannot do it. So we are not all geniuses. And there are, I think, a good portion of us that like to take our stuff to qualified mechanics or qualified repair people.
Yes.
And I take a car to the dealer. And
yes.
I know people balk at that, but I take a car to the dealer. I don't take a car to a regular garage, to a mechanic anymore. And I used to work in a garage for a lot of years, but I don't take a car there. So, you know, I think there are a lot of people like that. And I know that there are a lot of people on the other side of that fence too. But I really think that what happens when you take a car to a mechanic that isn't the qualified mechanic and something goes wrong?
Yeah.
Where do you go? Do you go back to the mechanic? No, you go to the dealer and you say, what's wrong with my car? Now it's you know, the transmission's gone. Well, this mechanic you took it to did something wrong and he screwed up your transmission. Go see him. And they blame the dealer. Well, no, it's not the dealer. In actual fact, it's your fault because you didn't take it to a qualified person. So, you know, if I try and change out my iPhone battery and I screw it all up and take it to them and say my iPhone doesn't work, and they say, well, it looks like somebody's switched out the battery and they shorted everything out.
No.
Well, okay, well, I want a new one. You know, an iPhone shouldn't do that just because they changed the battery. Well, no, that's not how shit works. You know, you voided your warranty now.
That exact thing happened to Melissa and I. Her broke her iPhone 6 Plus screen. We had to take it into a third-party repair person because Apple was charging far too much money for it. We took it into them. They fixed the screen. Screen looks fantastic, but they killed Siri. The microphone that Apple uses for Siri is blocked or broken or isn't working properly, so she can't use Siri. It's not that big of a deal for her because she wasn't much of a Siri user to begin with, but that's the danger of taking it to these third-party people that sometimes are going to break things even worse.
Yep. Well, you know, there are those that think that Siri should be blocked for all of us.
Well, there's that too, yes.
Yeah.
But I think the other
I'm back into the wind chimes.
Yeah, you are, I can tell. I think the other issue is that even if you personally don't want to be able to fix your stuff, you should be able to take it to someone who is qualified to fix your stuff, who isn't Apple. We saw a few months ago of the story of the repair shop in New York City where the Apple genius was going to charge this guy $1,200 to fix the issue.
That was in Toronto.
In Toronto, yeah. And for some bizarre reason, the guy took it to New York to get it fixed. And the guy in New York was going to charge him $10 for it. Right. So if Apple actively prevents that guy in New York City from fixing devices, that means that either intentionally or through no fault of their own, some Apple genius is going to overcharge people for some of their repair work. And so I think there's a rock and a hard place problem here for Apple and for people who want to get their stuff fixed. I
think, and I'm sure you'll agree that is an extreme case.
Yes, I agree.
And if he had have taken that computer to Apple and replaced it because the Apple genius said that's what you had to do, I would probably be pretty pissed off with Apple if I later found out, wait a minute, it was a pin that was crooked. And you have to think that was a setup and they made that pin crooked.
Sure.
Of course.
I have no problem with that. I mean,
Right.
Our local news have been doing that sting operation with local garages for decades, so I have no problem with that.
Right. So it didn't just happen. They knew what was wrong. And yes, this guy fixed it in no time flat because he went through this other process. But I'm willing to bet that Apple would agree on two things. One, that the genius followed the direction that was laid out for him to follow at the time. And two, that they've changed something.
Yeah.
So that isn't going to happen anymore. I can't see that Apple would just brush that off. I think, and again, maybe I'm putting too much credit into it. I don't think so, but I think that Apple would have been equally as pissed off that, wait a minute. Okay, they set us up, and yeah, they got their story because they set us up. But why didn't we find that out?
Yeah.
So, maybe there's different things that they've implemented since then so that doesn't happen to customers.
My biggest issue with that CBC story was they only took it to one Apple store in Toronto. They didn't take the opportunity to take it to multiple stores, see if you got multiple wrong answers from other people. Maybe they've taken to the Eaton Center store, and the guy went, no, it's just an easy fix. Or taken it to the Fifth Avenue store, and they would have said, no, it's just an easy fix. But I think CBC got the story they wanted at the first Apple store and then just moved on from the story. I think that was the problem. I think the story itself was weak to begin with, and they didn't make it better.
Well, and they could have gone to a number of different repair shops and to see what they could have done too, but they only took it to one.
Yep, exactly.
So I mean, maybe the next repair shop was going to charge them $3,000.
Yep, true.
You don't know, and that's why I say that this is an extreme case, but it does illustrate the point. And considering that the entire CBC story was based on allowing people to repair their computers, and they got the extreme point here, they were done with the story.
Yes, agreed.
So I would have been interested in 2 or 3 more repair shops and 2 or 3 more Apple stores. I'm not saying that they would have gotten any different responses,
absolutely.
By the way.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's what I'm saying. If the Apple Store genius followed protocol, then they may have gotten the exact same response everywhere.
Yep.
But I don't know that you would get that same response today.
Yes, and CBC should definitely follow up and do this, but they didn't do a good scientific investigative report on it. That being said, I think overall I'm as much as I can be fully behind the iFixit folks in this right to repair. There's legislation in 16 different states in the U.S. trying to make sure that consumers have the right. You have the right to screw up your own repair. Apple has the right to also say, no, you messed with this. You undid these screws. You did this stuff, so we're not touching it. Apple has the right to say that. But I don't think companies, Apple included, should be able to actively prevent the user from repairing their own devices.
Well, honestly, I think it's a lot for user safety. Or not safety, to save the user from themselves.
Could be, sure. And
what's going to happen when a bunch of people try and repair their own battery and it doesn't work?
Yep.
Then they're going to be screaming in every press thing that they can that, oh, Apple won't help me. I tried to repair and they won't help me. And then Apple's going to get slammed, like they always do for stuff. And you know what? I'm just going to sit here and say, it was your own fault.
Yep, that's right.
As
usual, Apple's caught between a rock and a hard place in this, and that's just the nature of the company.
It's like the guy that stepped on his glass iPad or Apple TV remote and it broke. Well, you know what? If I step on my Comcast remote, it's break too.
Exactly.
If I step on a plate on the floor that is also glass, it's going to break.
Yep.
I mean, why is that news? No, You're a moron. You stepped on your remote. Don't blame Apple.
That's right. That's right.
I've dropped my remote. I've kicked my remote. It hasn't broken.
Let's move on. Bloomberg and the guys of Mark Gurman. Somehow this was news to everybody that Apple plans on combining iPhone, iPad, Mac apps by 2021. We've known about the Marzipan project since at least 2017 when the rumor first happened, and Apple said they were doing this in 2018. Why all of a sudden is this news? Is it simply because it's all-powerful Mark Gurman saying it?
No, because people forget about it.
That's right. People are generally quite stupid and have the attention span of a goldfish.
They forgot, and now they reminded them, and it's big.
Is this something that, for lack of a better way to describe it, us old-timey Mac users should be afraid of? The image that people have in their minds is that their iPad is going to look like their iPhone is going to look like their Mac OS and vice versa. And it's going to, as I've seen people say, take away the so-called magic of the Mac OS. That's not what's going on here, is it?
No. I mean, what they're doing right now with Marzipan, or whatever it's called now, is allowing developers to, I mean, they already allow universal apps. So they're allowing developers to take iPad apps and iOS apps and bring them over to the Mac.
Yeah.
And in a lot of circumstances, that would make sense, but in a lot of others, it won't.
Yeah.
And, people would be happy to have some of those iOS apps that they use on their Mac. And, based on what we have with the news app and the other apps that Apple brought over, it's going to be limited use. This is not like bringing Pro Tools over to the iPhone.
Sure.
or it's not like that at all. But there are some use cases where, it would make sense. I mean, a news app on the Mac that was first built for the iPhone. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I don't use it much. I use it every now and then, but not much. But it's an option. And then you buy the app, and I assume that you can download it on all three of your devices, and maybe for Apple TV as well. And fine. But I don't think that it's something that, first off, that hardcore Mac users need to worry about.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's something that, they're going to try and make developers of, these very high-end Mac apps work on iOS, because that just can't happen, I don't think.
I think this is a signal from Apple. I always love this about the companies, that they do little things that add up to big things down the line. I think this Marzipan project is a signal that Apple is saying to developers and eventually the rest of their community, we are switching the Macintosh desktop and laptop platforms to our own chips in 2021, so you will be able to run your apps on both the iPad, the iPhone, the Apple eyeglasses, and your Macintosh. I think it's the only way Apple can do this, that they can do this Marzipan project, is if they have a common chipset among all of those devices, and that can't happen if you have the A14 Bionic on the iPhone 14 and an Intel chip in your Mac laptop, MacBook Air, desktop, iMac kind of thing.
I don't even know how much of a market there would be for some of those apps unless it became a lot more detailed in the apps that you could have,
Well,
I mean,
I'd like to think about something along the lines of it being the handoff stuff being done much more seamlessly, airdrop and that kind of stuff. I want to be able to. I'm on the bus. I've gone on a photo shoot. I'm on the train home from whatever, or the plane, and I'm making.
That was pretty. You went from a bus to a train to a plane in like one sentence.
Yeah, I realized that I'm not going to do on a photo shoot and then coming home on a bus. I realized that was wrong. That's just not going to happen. And then the train was in my head was the commuter train, and I knew that was stupid.
Are you on the Orient Express? Or
I'll fix
what?
that in post. Don't worry, I'll fix that later. And so you're sitting there on the plane, and I'm doing my edits, basic edits on the iPad, and when I come home, rather than having to do anything to transfer those edits onto my Macintosh, it just happens. They just show up in Lightroom on the phone without having to do iCloud or using Adobe's cloud services or AirDrop or anything else like that. It just happens. A folder pops up on my Mac desktop that says photos from the iPad, and all the edits are in there. That kind of stuff. Or you're writing. You're writing in the airport on your iPad. When you come home and you open up your writing app, whether it be Notes or Word, whatever it is, all that stuff.
But that already happens.
But not seamlessly, not automatically.
Yes, absolutely, automatically, seamlessly.
It doesn't happen with photography, with photo editing and things like that.
Well, you need a new hobby.
I love the hobby I have now. Shut up.
Well, I'm just saying.
But anyway, that's what I think is they're looking at, is this sort of with games and all the other kind of stuff that much more seamlessly than it works now. I don't want to mess around with AirDrop. I don't want to mess around with having to send files from one place to another. I just want them to be there, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Our friend Jason Snell posted a story over on Macworld.com. It's time for Apple to get back into the smart home in a big way. I've got an issue with the title of that. Apple, he says, get back in the smart home?
I agree with Jason wholeheartedly on this. I really do. But, no, they need to get into
exactly. They're not in there, never have been. They've dipped their little teeny tiny baby little pinky toe in there with HomeKit, but they haven't actually done anything for or with smart homes.
Nothing.
Apple had a real huge opportunity here, and I think they're lucky because this whole smart home thing is so fragmented. There's so many different companies doing so many different things. Apple can still own this market. I want a company to take care of my thermostat and my lights and my door locks and my Apple TV and all that kind of stuff. I don't want to have to cobble together different systems from 5 different companies and hope all their stuff works. Plus, I don't want the security nightmare. If you follow the Twitter account Internet of Shit, you'll see all kinds of horror stories of people not being able to get into their house because their internet access is down and their so-called smart lock turned into a dumb lock.
Yeah, well, I would be smashing out the biggest window in the house.
And then sending the bill to the smart lock company.
I'd smash out the bay window. I don't have a bay window in the bridge, but if I had a bay window, that's the one I would. See, right now, I just need to walk to the other side of the overpass.
But, I mean, Jason makes a good point. I mean, he's talking about having a sound bar with the sound bar for TV, where it's basically your subwoofer and your Apple TV and your HomePod all built into one kind of device. Apple should be owning this market with their ease of use and simplicity and HomeKit. There's absolutely no reason why we have to look to 5 or 6 different companies for thermostat, door lock, lights, all that kind of stuff.
Well, and you know what it comes down to? For somebody like me, even that, has been in this industry for a long time, it's not that I shouldn't have to look for all of these different things. I won't.
Yeah, that's right.
I've been using Apple gear for a long time, and I won't set up a house with all kinds of different gear hacked together with, if and then statements and no, I'm not doing it. I will not do it.
Cannot be bothered.
So, yes, I have a Nest thermostat. That is it.
Yep.
And that is a really good thing to have. I commend Nest on that.
Yep.
But to be honest, it was already here when I when I got the place, so I didn't even put that in, but I do like it.
Because you're like me, you wouldn't have installed that if you had gotten one, would you?
Well, let's remember back, tool belt.
Same here.
Yeah, I would not have installed it regardless, but somebody else may have installed it, but not me. But you know, I wouldn't do it. I would not do it, and that's where I am now. I'm not installing Philips lights so that they can change color.
Yeah,
I'm not running a disco.
Yeah.
You know, I want to watch TV and I want my home to, you know, adjust temperature, but I would love to do some stuff with music, and I would love for the home to be smart enough to know things.
Yep.
But, you know, you almost have to wonder if Apple has reconciled itself to the fact that Amazon has already won that battle. Because Amazon, I mean, Alexa's in everything. And that's where I thought Siri would be. But
I think they've won the cheap smart speaker battle. I don't think they've won the lights and doors and sound system battle. I don't think they've won that connectivity battle.
Not yet. But they've set themselves up in a much better way than what any other company has.
Agreed.
I mean, just and we both have the same feelings about CES. I'll grant you that. But just look at the headlines from CES. It's basically every product in the world adds Alexa.
Yes, that's right.
You know, now whether half of those products either make it to fruition or become very popular, there's, you know, 50-50 chance of that.
Yep.
But of those 50% that are now the 100%, they all have Alexa. You know, so it's just, I don't see Apple, and you can probably tell this frustrates me, but I don't see Apple putting that same energy into getting Siri working with this stuff. And it bothers me. Now, having played with and heard all of the smart speakers that are out there, I will tell you that the HomePod is the best.
Yes, best sounding.
Best sounding, but response and all of that, it's the best as well. There's just nothing better than the HomePod.
Yeah.
So okay, they've proven that they can do that. But okay, now I want to move on and do the rest of my living room. What can I do?
Yeah.
Well, I can put in the light bulb. Well, that doesn't do me much good.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the light bulb going to do? Is it going to blink when I come in, or I don't know.
The only good thing, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago on the show, the only good, neat, cool, interesting thing I've seen someone do with these lights, and I've got a set by our bedroom, and they're great for lowering the lights when you want to watch TV or raising them when you want to read. And it's kind of cool. The 13-year-old loves pretending that he's telling the lights to change colors. He likes it. It's a gimmick. But someone wrote a script that the lights in their house were linked to his daughter's diabetes tracking device. And when her glucose levels got too low, the lights in the house would change color. That was cool.
Okay.
That was brilliant.
But I'm an average user. How am I going to write a script to make that happen?
That's the problem, is that Apple has not looked to assist average users in figuring this stuff out, in just being able to drag and drop elements on screen of my lights and connectivity, or talking me through it, whatever it is. Apple's got nothing to do with smart homes. They've got a brick or two, but they haven't put it all together. Now, Jason, in his article, points out that Apple's hired a supposed new head of home products, a guy named Sam Jadala, but I've seen no indication that Apple is actually serious about controlling the home. They might do a little bits and pieces with HomeKit, but we've seen nothing from Apple where they've shown us they want to be in control of our homes, like we want to let them.
Well, I would love to let Apple be in control of my home, and I'm sure that there's a lot of stuff that HomeKit can probably do, but I don't want a room full of hubs and gadgets and everything else that I need to and write scripts.
Yep.
And no, I want to press a button and say, when this happens, do this.
Yep, exactly.
Thank you, done.
Yep, stop, as Monty says, stop making it a hobby and do it. And the other reason why
can I introduce you to Apple TV?
Yeah.
Stop making it a hobby and do it.
That should have been the hub for all of this. Apple TV is the electronic hub and HomePod as the audio hub. I talk to my HomePod. It uses the Apple TV as a home server to do this stuff. All the instructions are on screen with the Apple TV. I mean, I ain't the smartest, sharpest knife in the drawer, but even I can figure out how to do this. Why can't Apple? I think the issue is there's been no one at Apple who wants to champion this stuff. This isn't sexy. This isn't the iPhone. This isn't whatever. This isn't health. This is not fun for somebody at Apple. Johnny Ive or Phil Schiller or somebody there has to grab this mantle of smart home and run with it with the company.
Well, I almost think that, sadly, I'm not sure that they haven't moved on. I mean, they're looking at AR and they're looking at all this stuff. I mean, the home has been around for years and years, and nothing's been done. So, yeah, maybe you're right.
The other aspect of this, too, is the story we heard today that Google built a microphone into its Nest security system and, air quotes, forgot to tell anyone about it. Does anybody actually believe Google forgot to tell us about this thing?
No.
This is another reason why I want Apple to take over this stuff, because I want a smart home. I don't trust any of these other a-holes out there. I don't trust Amazon. I don't trust Facebook. I don't trust Google. I don't want any of those guys' devices.
Can you imagine if Google had or Facebook had a home alarm? Okay, he's gone. He's gone.
That's right.
We've got a client that's a crook that wants to know when anybody leaves in this area code.
It's just amazing that they can get away with stuff like that. And they will get away with it with this lame-ass excuse that we forgot to put it in our specs. Everyone's going to go, oh, that's too bad. Instead of somebody suing them. Instead of somebody doing something about it.
A lawsuit won't make any difference now.
Maybe they'll just get someone's attention, because this is just so frustrating that Google and Amazon and Facebook constantly screw us over and nothing gets done about it.
Yeah. But then you look at the other side of it. I mean, we're talking about Apple and the home. I'm not sure that a lot of that isn't to do with privacy and how they can set this stuff up so that you are private.
Yep.
And, so there's always pros and cons to everything. And, we talk about those, the big three that you talk about and how they use and they don't steal our data. We give it to them, but they use our data and they, do all of this stuff. And then, we all come on this show or mine or whatever and commiserate about Apple and how they can't make the home work. But, Apple makes a lot of other stuff work. And, the big three, those other three, they make a lot of stuff work too. It's just that they're using our stuff to make it work.
Yep, exactly. In the most interesting story of the past week, UC Santa...
I can't wait for this one.
UC Santa Cruz student indicted for allegedly using an iOS app to sell drugs. Did you see this?
I did not see that. That's awesome.
The Banana Plug app let people purchase and make special requests for drugs, according to federal authorities. If you played the game in a certain way, you were literally ordering cocaine and methamphetamine from this 18-year-old UC Santa Cruz student.
See? That's entrepreneurship
Exactly.
right there.
I mean, when we were in school, we had to actually walk up to the drug dealer and buy from him.
Yeah.
We had to take a
And
risk.
we all knew who it was.
Oh,
he
exactly.
He was the guy with the newest Cadillac.
That's right. In my neighborhood, it was the Monte Carlo. This kid had a smoking hot Monte Carlo.
Yeah. He had no money, supposedly,
That's right.
but he had a brand new car.
Just correct me up. There's apparently, and this is advertised itself as a game. It not only was on the App Store, apparently it's still on the App Store. The kid's in jail, but apparently somehow you could I don't know how, communicate by playing the game, and by winning or losing in a certain way. I don't know what it was. It would allow you to order cocaine and meth and mushrooms and Molly from this 18-year-old UC Santa Cruz student. It's like, you got to tip your hat a little bit to this kid, because that's damn clever.
Come on. That's quite, I mean, he wasn't, up and out front like El Chapo, but
right.
he was smart too.
Yeah. You got to give props to the kid. He's going to jail for a long time, but he's got.
That's not right. I mean, he's trying to pay for his college. Come on.
I think when he gets out, he's going to have a job at Google.
Yeah, well, somebody's already building a tunnel to get him out because he's got so many orders waiting. Now,
backed up.
Hey, my app doesn't work anymore.
Hey, I saw this on Twitter, and you got to tell the audience about this. Your Heineken guitar arrived on February 14th. Tell us about this cool-looking Heineken guitar. Where did you get that from?
Okay, so this is a really funny thing. I like to buy, and people have given me funny things from Heineken.
Yes.
People have given me like lights and all kinds of different things on Heineken, and I over the years I've bought a few things Heineken. So I woke up like one Saturday morning, and here's a message from a guy on Twitter that follows me and says, "Hey, would you be interested in this guitar?" So I looked at it, and it was a Squire Strat, which isn't a high-end guitar. It's a beginner type guitar, but it had this amazing Heineken paint job on it. And I said, "Oh, hell yeah." I mean, he said a friend of mine won it over the holidays, and she doesn't want it. She doesn't play. She doesn't want it, and she wants to sell it. And I said, "Yeah, put her in touch with me." So he did, and she said, I mean, it all came out to, a couple $100, and I said, fine.
Yeah.
So I sent her, PayPal'd her the cash, and she sent me the guitar, and all was good. So that's how it turned out from Twitter, where this fellow named Chip pinged me and said, "Hey, here's this guitar." So now I have it.
That is so cool. We all know how I feel about Heineken, but that's a damn cool looking guitar.
Yeah, it is.
How's it sound?
It's awesome. Well, it sounds pretty good. It's not. It wasn't made to be the best sounding guitar in the world, but you do some right things to it, and it sounds pretty good.
Oh, cool. Good for you.
So I'm happy with it.
Glad to hear it. Folks, we're talking to Jim Dalrymple of The Loop. He's here each and every week. His own podcast is up on the iTunes store. It's called The Dalrymple Report. Thanks, Jim.
Thanks a lot, Shawn.
Talk next week. See ya.
Bye.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. That he got his own. Stop turning down your own mic, you big doofus. Yeah, Jim got that Heineken guitar. I saw that on Twitter and just cracked me up. When we come back from this break in our starting point photography segment, we're talking about how to get even better photos out of your iPhone. All that and hopefully much more coming up. This is Your Mac Life. Welcome back in our starting point photography segment for this Wednesday evening. We're going to talk about the iPhone and how to get better images out of the iPhone. We've talked about this a lot because we're going off to Lisbon in 1 month and 1 day. Woohoo! I don't know how many folks are going to be using DSLRs versus iPhones or point and shoots or mirrorless cameras or that kind of stuff. But certainly our iPhones have become a greater source of photography, even for professionals, than ever before, especially for that quick little snapshot kind of thing. For me, I know that I'm using my big DSLR probably 80% less than I ever did before now that I have the iPhone 10. For the most part, if I'm just going out and about, with Melissa, and we're going down to the beach, or we're going to go out with friends, or just go for a walk, I'm not taking the big DSLR anymore. I'm taking my iPhone. So we all know the iPhone, on average, doesn't take as good a shots as a DSLR, on average. But there are ways that you can make your iPhone photography much, much better. We've talked about it several times over the years here on the show. And this is just another sort of refresher course. I know I sometimes, not sometimes, but I know I repeat this stuff, but one of the important aspects of, in my mind anyway, one of the important aspects of learning about photography is repetition, not only the repetition of you doing the thing, but also the repetition of me telling you what to do over and over again. So that's one of the reasons why we're doing this. One of the things is always, photography is about light. As I say to my class, we don't take pictures of dark. We take pictures of light. So the first thing, no matter what camera you're using, whether it's your iPhone or whether it is a point and shoot camera or a DSLR, you've got to shoot the right light. And as we've said before, because the iPhone's opening is so small, you generally need more, and air quotes, better light than you would when it comes to a DSLR with a big old lens on the front of it. So the first thing you want to do is, as you're shooting, as you're thinking about shooting, look for light. One of the things that I love to do is when you're in a street scene, when we're walking through the alleys of the Alfama district in Lisbon, I'm going to be looking for light coming out of windows. I'm going to be looking for lights from street lights if we're shooting at twilight. If you're shooting during the middle of the day, generally I always tell folks to try to avoid shooting between 10 and 4. 10 and 4 is what I call tourist time. Get up early in the morning. Get up and get out of your hotel before sunrise and get some sunrise shots of a place. As we all know, the golden hour, the half hour before and after sunrise and sunset, is some of the prettiest light you're going to get. And it's the easiest light to shoot in. You're almost guaranteed of getting really, really pretty shots in those kinds of lighting conditions. So for us in Lisbon, at least twice, hopefully more, we're going to get up and early in the morning, and when I say we, I mean me and myself and Melissa. I don't know about anyone else who's coming with us, but Melissa and I will certainly get up and go down to the waterfront and shoot some of the sites that we see down there. Same with sunset too, by the way. We'll also be doing that at sunset. And what I like to do is find that spot where there's something pretty in front of me, but the sun's behind us. You often think about shooting sunrise into the sun. You can do that if you want to, but try this instead. Turn around 180 degrees. And as the sun rises up behind you, look at the buildings and the statues and the people and the trees, wherever you happen to be, and watch that light as the sun goes up, that light hit the top of the thing and come down. Patience is a big thing. So you got to be patient. You got to stand there and wait for that light. Visualize in your mind what that light might look like in 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and be patient for it. Wait for it. The other thing I like to do is the exact opposite. Turn and face the sun, but have something blocking the sun, whether that's a tree or a statue. One of my favorite things to do, and I know I'll do this in Lisbon, there's a central square there, and in the central square is that typical 18th century man on horseback statue. It's 15, 20 feet in the air. And I've already visualized the shot I'm going to take of the sun rising up over the over the South George Moorish castle, and the sunlight hitting the statue, and then having the sun be directly behind the head of the statue. I don't know if I can actually physically do that, but that's the visualization I have of this particular shot. And another visualization is a shot of Melissa. There's this beautiful, really cool arch in this square, and I really want to see if I can't get a shot of Melissa first thing in the morning, standing in the middle of that arch with the sun coming up behind her. So she'll be in silhouette, the arch will be in silhouette, and the sun will be coming up over the Moorish castle. Visualization is a big thing for me. It should be a big thing in your photography. When you're going someplace that you know where you're going and the time and the location, you can start to visualize these images and capture them much faster. So the first thing you want to do is visualize and think about light, where the light's coming from, what kind of light it is. Is it neon light? Is it fluorescent light? Don't shoot fluorescent light, it's ugly. What time of day, what time of year it is. Obviously here in Canada, even at noon, the sun isn't straight overhead for us. So we can shoot in that kind of diffuse light a lot longer than you can in, say, Florida. So what I said earlier, I didn't follow up on that. You go at sunrise and sunset. 10 to 4 is generally, depending where you are, when the sun is at its highest, and you get the harshest shadows. So those are the times I tell people to go be a tourist, to go shopping, to go to the museums, to go to the art galleries, to go to places where you're not allowed to photograph, have a nap, have dinner, have lunch at those times. Because those are times that, especially for beginners, it's a lot harder to get really good lighting from 10 to 4 during those times. One thing you want to be wary of too, especially if you don't have one of the dual lens iPhones, don't zoom. Do not use the digital zoom on your iPhone where you're tapping the screen and spreading your fingers in order to zoom in. It's not real zoom. It's called digital zoom. It's fake zoom. What you want is optical zoom. And the iPhone 10 and above, is it just the 10 or does the 8 have it? Whatever the dual camera iPhones are will allow you to do 2 times optical zoom. So the lens actually is a real zoom. A lot of, whenever you're doing DSLR shooting and you're twisting the lens and you're moving in and out on the image, that's an optical zoom. You're physically moving lens elements back and forth, and that's creating that zoom effect. A lot of consumer level cameras, especially the old point and shoots, will have digital zoom, and that's never going to be good. Try to avoid using digital zoom at all times. If you need to, get closer, physically closer to the thing that you want to photograph. Don't use zoom. You're not going to get decent shots with the zoom. MacMan says my 7 Plus has it. So there we go. That a 7 Plus and above will have the optical zoom that you're looking for. One of the things that we're going to have a lot of conversations about in Lisbon is, and I've said this for years, half of your photography, half of the attractiveness, the beauty, I can't think of another word for it, of your photography isn't just the device you shoot, the light you shoot, what you shoot. It's the editing. Melissa and I went through this the other day when last Wednesday we went off to a friend's little birthday get-together, and Melissa took a lovely picture of me and the birthday girl, our friend Corey. And Melissa loved the photo. So it was a good photo. She framed it well. There's a little bit of a person in the background, but it's not really noticeable. So I took the photo from Melissa and started editing it. And we're lying in bed. We're on the iPhone. I'm using Snapseed, my favorite photo editor. And we're just messing around. And one of the things I always do whenever I've got a picture with people in it, I always just quickly flip the photo to black and white just to see what happens. I find, this is maybe a personal opinion, I find people shot in black and white can really bring something out in a photo. Black and white tends to smooth out skin tones, smooth out wrinkles, makes people look better. And it's because it's something we don't see all the time. It's sort of different enough to make it really interesting. So I took this photo and turned it into black and white, played around with it for a little bit, and Melissa loved it. She thought it was a great photo. It was a photo she actually then posted to Instagram. So editing is half the battle. Your photos, I guarantee, will get better if you learn how to edit, even if you're just doing simple edits. I don't mean cropping. The first thing you always do in an edit is crop out the edges, the things that you don't want. But just using even the native camera app on the iPhone has some rudimentary editing things, and they're really easy to use. It's just sliders. It's just tap on brightness and slide back and forth and see if you like it. It's on contrast, on shadow, on highlights. You don't have to know what those things mean or what those things actually do. Just play around with them. If you want to get even more involved, Snapseed's free. It's available on the iTunes store, on the App Store. It's a great app. It does a lot more than the native camera app. It'll do healing. So if there is, say, a telephone wire sticking out someplace that you don't want it to be, it can do basic healing. Not real fancy, but it can sometimes get the job done. It has a lot of really neat effects, a lot of neat filters and things you can do to your photo to really bring out how nice the photo can be. So don't just take a photo and think, okay, I'm done. I've taken the photo. Now I can put it on Instagram or Facebook or whatever it might be. Editing is going to be a key. And we're going to spend at least one full day in Lisbon talking about and doing editing. The idea is the first day we're going to be talking and doing composition, the basics of composition. We'll spend an hour in the morning talking composition, and then we're going to go out into the streets of Lisbon to actually do that. So we'll talk about it, and I'll show you examples of it, and you'll take your own shots. And then the next day will be more involved composition, the really serious type things. Most of the stuff that we're going to be talking about is just thinking about photography. That is the bottom line key for me, is thinking about what you're shooting, how you're shooting, the effects you want to get, the visualizations that you want to get, what's the end result of the photo that you want to get, and how to work backwards using the light, the camera, your skill level to accomplish that visualization. So, as always, if you have any questions about any of this stuff or anything else about photography, please send them off to us here on Your Mac Life. You can send an email to Shawn at yourmaclifeshow.com or to onair@yourmaclifeshow.com. It's unlikely, but you can still join us in Lisbon in a month. It's not a problem. You can still do that. But if you can't make Lisbon, please go to startingpointphotography.com and check out our next workshop. It's going to be right here in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. I will brook no argument over the statement that Vancouver is the single most beautiful, naturally beautiful city in North America. If you've never been up here, especially for our American friends, your dollar goes a third further. $100 US is $133 Canadian. So your money will go a lot further if you come on up here to Vancouver for a vacation. More information about that is available at startingpointphotography.com. Got some emails from you guys. As always, love getting emails from the audience. Send emails to us during the show to Shawn at yourmaclifeshow.com or off to onair at yourmaclifeshow.com. I'm just trying to make sure. I don't think I read this one before. Our friend Scott Randall, formerly of the Long Island Mackinac User Group. Scott's now moved to Arizona. Smart man. Regarding Facebook, they are an evil company. They profit by exploiting people's data and privacy. Even if you're not a subscriber, they can find out things about you from other people's conversations. So neither of us is on Facebook. friends of ours say, hey, you know Scott or Shawn and his wife going to North Carolina for the next 2 weeks. Bam, everyone knows you won't be home. This could become an open invitation to thieves. I don't think I'd worry about that. I think the
But I get his gist.
Absolutely.
Gist of what he's saying.
I'm not going to disagree with him. I don't think it's that much of an issue, but yes, it is certainly an issue. He said, I'd like to see the government shut them down for invasion of privacy. Fat chance of that happening. I do think people should wake up to this and do something. I agree with you on that, Scott. I am a cord cutter. When I lived in New York, I got Fios to give me just internet, phone, and local channels only. I got other content from Netflix, Amazon Prime, etc. I don't think I could get that deal here because my area, Cox, is pretty much the only game in town. So now I have high-speed internet and Hulu for TV. Still a lot less than I would pay for TV services here. I still have Netflix and a few other things, but I would have them even if I paid for cable TV. People talk about watching sports. One of my sons, who's still living in New York, uses Hulu, has found a way to get live sports through them, still cheaper than cable. If anyone has the urge, they can cut the cord and still get they can cut the cord and still get the shows they want, saving money as they do. It's certainly possible, Scott. I don't know how. I don't know how likely it is for average people to, just like we were talking about HomeKit and the smart home. People don't want to have to cobble together all these different things. People are willing to pay for, as much as we bitch about it, the convenience of cable TV. If you can get internet, decent internet, and cable TV, a decent amount of channels, you can get, ABC, NBC, CBS, HGTV, all the usual ones you get, for about $75 a month. Most people are happy with that. If you tell somebody, you know what, I can save you $15 a month, they'll go, yes, how? Well, you sign up for this, you sign up for that, you sign up for this, you sign up for that, you put them all together, you use their app to watch this, you use their app to watch this, you use Netflix for watch this. You know what I'm saying? If it's too much work, the vast majority of people just aren't interested, just to save $15-20 a month. And then when you get, as you found out, outside of major urban areas or even outside of America, you can't get those things. You can't get them in the same way. Netflix here in Canada is awful. Until poor Canadians live in the States or even visit the States, they don't realize how spectacularly shitty Netflix Canada is. We get about half the shows that are available in America. So cord cutting is possible if you want to go through the effort of it. And then you've got, as MacMan points out, you get data caps. Your ISP in a lot of places rarely offer truly unlimited data anymore. And if you've got any number of people using a service at home, we've got 4 people here at home, and at any one time, all 4 of us will be on the internet doing different things. Rory can be watching games and playing games or watching Netflix. Damon can be watching Netflix. You can be watching Netflix, and I can be here on the computer reading Twitter. Mm-hmm. We could hit our data caps very, very quickly and end up paying a whole lot more money for that kind of stuff. So yeah, cord cutting is certainly possible. I don't know if the vast majority of people, average people, can or will take the time and make the effort to go through this. I think it's one of the reasons why people are so excited about this rumored Apple TV subscription service, supposedly coming in at the end of March, that people think that Apple will be the savior and they will be able to do all of this stuff through the Apple TV and through the Apple subscription service. No, you're not going to. As has already been said to the rumors, there won't be any HBO, there won't be any Netflix, there won't be any of those kinds of services that are already making their own buttloads of money from you. There's no way Netflix is going to give up the X numbers of dollars that we pay them per month and give it to Apple or let Apple collect it. It's not going to happen. So you're still going to need 2 and 3 and maybe even 4 different services. And then if you're like me and your sports watching is more particular, I don't watch football anymore. I don't watch basketball anymore. I don't watch any of the other top sports because we don't have cable TV. but I really want to watch my motorcycle racing. Now, there is no station in North America that plays motorcycle racing. So I have to BitTorrent it. I have to illegally download it. I don't have a choice if I want to watch it. So it's as Steve Jobs supposedly said to his biographer, it is a hairball. And I don't think Apple's going to fix it anytime soon. Melissa got an email last week that concerned you greatly.
Through YML?
Nope.
Oh.
Through your email account. And I think you need to fess up to the audience right here and right now, because this email was about your porn watching habits.
Oh, yes. I got one of those. I don't watch porn, by the way, everybody. Yeah, I got one of those scammy.
I'm sure most of us have gotten this. Basically, it's what's happened is whether it was a Target hack from 3 or 4 years ago or some hack from many, many years ago, these scammers have bought that database and are now sending out emails to people with these old passwords. Hopefully, they're old passwords. It says, and the email says, your password is this. And you go, oh, shit. And I went, wait, no, that was like 10 years ago that I used that password. And then the email says, I have installed software on your computer that has been recording all of your websites you go to.
Watching and all the awful things, sordid things that you do in your life. And I'm going to let everybody know.
And it was really funny because quite often the emails will say, you've got really good tastes, or you've got really disturbing tastes, something like that. And if you don't give us X numbers of dollars in Bitcoin, we're going to send this off to all your friends.
This is my Bitcoin account, and I want you to deposit $525 into
Yeah, the number always changes.
It's very odd.
It's very funny. But for me, I was just like, oh, okay. send the porn to my friends. I don't care. But it does upset people. It does make them just go, oh, my God, because they've got two pieces of information that are correct, your email address and an old password. Or maybe for some people, it's still the password they use. Because a lot of folks still use the same password over and over and over and over again because it's easy to remember. So it feels like this is a real scam. Now, luckily for people like Melissa, who are as pure as the driven snow and don't go to porn sites, she can go, well, this is a scam. But if you even looked at a porn site once, you can think, shit, I'm screwed. I got to get this game money. No, it's all a scam. It's all fake. Don't worry about it at all. Don't respond to the emails. Just delete the emails. These things go in cycles, and this happens to be this one's cycle. This is the email that's been going around, the most common one, last little while. It's nothing to worry about. You got it through your school.
Well, our superintendent actually put a message out to everybody saying, this is what's coming through. I don't want you to worry. This is blah, blah, blah. Because we're all Mac. Like the whole district has a Mac, right?
Yep.
So he just reassured everybody not to worry.
There is no known software that on the Macintosh can turn your camera on without that green light coming on.
Okay.
There's always a green light next to your camera. If the green light's on, it means the camera's on. Doesn't mean anything's recording. I've had it where I've looked up one time and went, why the hell's the green light on? And I realized I had QuickTime was open and it was set to FaceTime, and that's the FaceTime camera. So there is no virus or malware or Trojan or any software that's known yet that does that. So you don't have to worry if you won't see your camera come on. Just someone.
I still have a couple of colleagues, and you'll see the duct tape
yes,
over there.
And that duct tape does nothing.
But it's just
and
what
by the way,
comfortable with.
Ask those people if they also put duct tape over the microphones of their laptops. Mm-hmm. They probably don't. Mm-hmm. So it's not a concern for Mac users. I'm not speaking for Windows users. It's not a concern for Mac users. There is no software that can do what they claim to do. Now, there is software that does, when you open it up, know that you've opened up the email. The Inside Apple newsletter that I write that goes out every day has a little tracking thing in it, so it knows when people open it up, which, by the way, has me telling you, please open your Inside Apple newsletter. If you haven't subscribed, it's inside.com/Apple. You can subscribe. Because they track the open, that's the only thing they care about. I don't understand why. They don't care about
mine.
They don't care about the ads. They don't care about the clicks. They don't care about all they care about is the open rate. So they want me to increase my open rate, and I don't know how to do that except free beer. So even if you don't read the Inside Apple newsletter, please just do me a favor, just open it. You can close it right away, but open it. MacBan says, I'd still like a physical switch to kill the mic and the camera. There's no need. Why would Apple do that if there's no need for it? There's no point in Apple developing it or charging you for it or paying for it or anything. It's not an issue. So yeah, if you get those emails, do not send anyone money. Do not respond to the email. Just delete the email and move on with your life. That's it.
Oh.
We're done.
No prizes to give away. Nothing.
Oh, do we? What's the date today?
20th.
No, we'll do it next week. End of the month. Next week is the last show in February, and February will be finally over. You can't wait for February to be over. Been a crappy month weather-wise here, and once February's over, it means March, and March means we're going to Lisbon. My wife has bought new pretty clothes for Lisbon.
I did.
And new pretty shoes.
I did.
I'm going to get new sunglasses.
You are. Thank goodness.
Yay!
Yay.
Folks, that's it for tonight's show. Thank you guys very much for joining us. Thanks very much to Jim Dalrymple of The Loop for being here each and every Wednesday evening. Thanks to you guys for being tuned in, whether you're tuned in via the archive or tuned in to the show live. As always, I've been Shawn King.
I'm Melissa King.
And you've been listening to Your Mac Life. See ya!
Bye.